Hi viewers, this is Dr. Dhanasekhar again in SS Childcare channel, and today we're going to talk about an impressive and interesting topic about what are bad foods for children or what foods children should not eat. It's very important to try and understand because all that glitters is not gold and all that is said is bad is always not bad. It's an extremely important concept to understand that daily consumed foods are basically, some of them are very notorious and dangerous for children. Now the kingpin of all these food is basically this packet which I've got in my hand. Now all of you might wonder what it is, and you all know what it is. It's sugar. And I always tell all my parents under the age of 1, their children should not be given any salt, any sugar, no cow's milk and biscuit, and that remains standard for the many years to come, because the reason is I always question myself that the young people with heart disease and hypertension who come are they affected by eating foods like this in the last 30 to 40 years? Has the culture and tradition changed? Most likely the answer is yes. Now of all these foods, there are some things you need to remember. When you think about a food, remember the word C. Now C is extremely important. Why is the word C important? Now you see the first food here is basically, we all know what it is, and this is basically chips. Now potato chips is a very common C, that is a comfort food all around the world, because people love to eat potato chips because this is a very common stress buster, and also it is used to actually keep yourself engaged when you're watching a movie, perhaps to keep yourself going. Now what happens in chips, it's not the potato, the oil that's a problem, but the amount of salt that it contains is the biggest problem here. So the amount of salt, if you talk about salt, the most important ingredient is sodium, and sodium is a salt that can actually have a big impact about what you're doing on an everyday basis. It helps you to function normally, it helps you to maintain your blood pressure, it also helps in nerve conduction and also to make sure that you're conscious and oriented. So when you take more sodium, what actually happens is your blood pressure raises and you actually start passing more urine because your kidney load to all this salt is extremely high, and basically end up passing a lot of urine, and that's one of the major concerns in children who eat a lot of potato chips. So that being one. The next thing is basically here, the next C is chocolate. Now when you talk about chocolate, one also wonders why would you be against chocolate? Now chocolate do have health benefits, but when you consume them in moderate quantities or even in smaller quantities. This donut, a lot of people may not know how it is actually made. A donut is basically nothing but a whole purpose flour which is fried in oil, and a chocolate is added on top of it. So when you look at this chocolate, this can make your baby or your child hyperactive. They are stimulated very high, and basically you have this what we call as sugar rush. In that the child actually goes completely berserk, doesn't sleep well and is awake most of the time, and the sleeping pattern is completely gone. And that's the reason why we would say not to give a food like donut. Amount of sugar that you will need in a day will be something about 5 spoons. I'm talking about adults. A child would need much lesser than that. But this donut will contain probably much more than what a family can consume in one day, and that's the reason why there's a definite no-no for the sugar. The next thing is, we have actually got an episode which is going very strong now. We've got more than 80,000 views, going to nearly 1 lakh, about biscuits. And I am a strong advocate for not giving biscuits under the age of 1 or even after that, because the reason is biscuits contain cow's milk, biscuits contain sugar, biscuit contains salt, emulsified fat, artificial colors and whatnot. And that's the reason why it's a cocktail mixture of all toxins, and that's the reason why I'm against biscuits. Now coming to the last part of it, the carbonated drinks, you need to understand that carbonated drinks are definitely something that are very toxic. And the reason why I'm against carbonated drinks is not only the fact that it contains carbon dioxide, it contains a lot of sugar. A glass of this carbonated drink would contain somewhere around 20 grams of sugar, which is a lot. And that amount of sugar will not necessarily lead only to sugar rush, but a lot of bloating on the tummy, and that bloating will actually make you fart a lot, and that's one of those things what parents usually bring their children to as well. And that's very important to understand, that you should not be giving this much carbonated drinks to the child. But the other C that this contains is basically caffeine, and caffeine is basically, is in coffee, and this will make you hyperactive and hyperstimulated, and that's basically going to be one major issue that you need to understand. The other C, which I did not tell when I spoke about this, is basically constipation, because biscuits can cause constipation, and majority of children who come to me who are constipated actually consume a lot of biscuits as well. So coming to all of that, we will want to ask you, would you want to give these to your children? Of course you can, You can give chocolates as a treat to kids, but not as a daily measure. When you see a lot of families, when they go out to pacify children, they give them chocolates. The child eats the chocolate and basically becomes hyperactive. They become very cranky because of the sugar rush, and the child starts screaming and actually having temper tantrums, and a lot of parents don't understand this. And what happens to these children is, because of the tantrums what they get, they lose their sleep, their behavior changes, and they become hyperactive. So if you have any concerns about your child's behavior, it's very important that you actually cut down or stop all of these foods, because the major ingredient in all these foods is this culprit here. Some of the parents always ask me, sir, if you don't give sugar, can you give other alternatives? Now, the first alternative is sugar-free, which is completely no in children, because sugar-free is basically nothing but acesulfame, which is a sweetener, xylitol, which is a sweetener, and sorbitol, which is a sweetener, which is what makes it sugar-free, but it actually enhances your intestine to pass more stools and works as a laxative. And also, these carbonated beverages, when we call them as sugar-free drinks, are definitely not good for kids. Sugar, unpolished, going back, becomes basically the most important sugar, which looks in brown color wherever you are there. This is called as jaggery, and jaggery is an unrefined sugar form, and that also contains sugar. So don't forget about it. It's unrefined sugar, but it is nothing more than that, and the same with brown sugar as well. So whether you're giving your child white sugar, brown sugar, or jaggery, they all mean the same. And if anyone is wondering whether you can give your child honey, we have done episode on honey as well. Please go back and watch it, and you will get much better understanding about honey too. So all these foods is definitely a no for kids, and please don't forget to write your comments on the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. We will be coming out with more novel topics like this, and it's very important that your comments is making me think about newer topics in the days to come. And thanks very much. God bless you all. Wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you again in another episode. Thanks very much.